Namaskar and welcome to another episode of Anandamarga Dharmacast, and I'm your host Dada Veda Pragyananda. Some people call me Dada Veda, it's okay, whichever one you use, it's fine. And this is a podcast series where we're looking at different issues and aspects of spirituality using the perspective of Shrii Shrii Anandamurti, the founder of Anandamarga, as our starting point. So today I'll be reading from a little bit, not much. It's a very short passage in a book which is called Ananda Vachanamritam, part 34. And he's talking about, it's called the best tirtha, it means the best place of pilgrimage. And what he says is that those who have developed their mind understand that God lies coverted or hidden within their very I feeling, within their very existence. So they needn't go to temples, needn't go to tirthas or places of pilgrimage in search of God. But in any case, Parvati asked Lord Shiva, "O Lord, which is the best tirtha?" So then in this discourse he goes on to explain the Sanskrit derivation of that term, tirtha, but it means a stance from which if you take one step, then you go into the place where you want to be, the place of salvation. So when Parvati asked Lord Shiva, "O Lord, which is the best tirtha?" his reply was, "Here there is one place of pilgrimage, there is another place," and he said people of kind of static nature, means materialistic nature, wander from one place to the other place, but without finding the real place of pilgrimage within themselves. How can they attain salvation? So first of all, if you don't know, Shiva was the ancient yogi, and he's believed to be the founder of Tantra Yoga. And Parvati was his wife, and they had a series of dialogues where Parvati would ask a question, Shiva would give the answer, and the idea of this question and answers was so that posterity, it would be recorded for posterity and people would understand. But this is, I've talked about this this topic before, about holy sites. Are they important or not? But I'll talk about it again because it's actually in the news today. So what Shiva was saying was that the real place where God exists is hidden, or it's hidden inside the person. So in this, our idea of this is like this, and I've done this explanation many times, I'll do it again. So in each of us, we say, "I exist." Everyone can do that. The reason is because we have a mind. Our mind can proclaim easily, "I exist." But there is another part of our being, and we also have the capacity to think, "I know I exist. I know I exist." So the I of "I know I exist" is something beyond the mind. Because the mind is making this statement, I exist, I'm this, I am that. But the mind is saying, "I know I exist." And that point from where that I comes from, if someone will go inside and search, that is the spiritual point. That is where God is. So God, that's why some people have said the kingdom of heaven is within. That's a way of saying it. It's within. It's not without. So it's not in the bricks and the mortar of the world where God is, his temple and that temple. There's people fight over those things. Some years back in India, a group of Hindus got together and they tore down a mosque. The reason was because they said that, oh, this mosque was built on one of our holy sites, and even it was the birthplace of Ram, and whether Ram was a real figure or not is up to most people. Many people will say he was part of literature more than history. But in any case, people believe that, and based on that belief, they tore down that mosque, and then there was tremendous communal violence. Many people died. So all over the world, people are fighting over these holy places. In Jerusalem, you know well about that. So people are claiming this place, they're claiming that place. But the real places of where God exists is not in these buildings. We'll come back to the importance of the buildings afterwards, but it's not in the buildings. It's within each of us. So God exists within each of us. And as we also, if we understand the yoga cosmology and philosophy, God exists within every particle of this universe. And there's something very interesting about this, which was, there was an Indian mystic named Nanak. He was the founder, he went on to found the Sikh religion. But he was very eclectic in his spiritual approach, and he tried to reach out to all people. And he even made a pilgrimage to Mecca, the Islamic pilgrimage point. And one day, by accident or incident, we don't know, he fell asleep. And then when he woke up, some people were, scolding him. He said, "Look, your feet are facing the holy shrine. Because it's not especially in the Orient, it's not to point your feet at somebody, even a person, is impolite. And then when you point your feet at the place where God is there, it's even worse." So then Nanak told these people, he said, "Okay, then move my feet to the place where God is not." So that was a pretty difficult thing if you understand that. There's no place. Wherever he would have fallen asleep, his feet would be facing God. There's no doubt about it. So this is the point. Now, in the world, people are ready to fight and die and cause violence over these holy, so-called holy sites. Now, I've been to some of these holy places. I went to, in India, there's a city called Bodh Gaya. And it's in this place where supposedly there was a tree where Buddha meditated, and that he attained his realization. It's called the Bodhi Tree, the Bodhi Tree, actually. The place of enlightenment. And so now, the trees no more, maybe, the real trees, that's debated whether that still really exists even, that tree which he really meditated. We don't know, but there is a shrine there. And people go to that shrine with reverence. And I've been there. It's a very peaceful setting. Outside the shrine there's a monastery and there's a whole religious establishment. But that place where Buddha was supposedly attained his enlightenment, that's a very serene and well-kept shrine. And then I've also been in Jerusalem. There is the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, which is a church which actually has two places in it. In that church is the place where they said that Jesus was entombed. He laid to rest. And even in that church, I think in the same church is where they said that's also part of that churches where he was crucified. So now, that again, whether that is really the place, those places are correct or not, maybe history would not agree. We don't know. But one thing is clear, that place is really well kept up. The shrine is peaceful and beautiful, and people go there with reverence. In fact, I felt the same feeling there as I felt in Bodh Gaya. So people treat a place with reverence, and they meditate or they pray there. Then that place is a place of spiritual and cultural significance. So there's no doubt about that. Some places are of historical, spiritual, cultural significance, but we shouldn't overemphasize them, because God doesn't only live in that place, and you don't have to take a big, you have to save up a lot of money and go to India, or you go to the Middle East to find out about where God is. No, God is here with us right now. You don't have to make a big travel for that. So now the question comes also, I've been to another place, which is not a spiritual place, but it's interesting in this regard. In the 1980s, I used to live in West Berlin. So for those who don't know, West Berlin was an island. It was an island of West Germany within the vast East Germany and the Soviet bloc, you can say. It was just a little island. And to go to East Berlin, it was a big thing. You had to show your documents. East Berlin's the other part of the city, but it was divided by then the Berlin Wall and border. And, it was really... it was difficult to go from one place to the other, even though it's like you're going like 20 feet or 30 feet or 100 feet, but they make it, you feel like you went to another world. There's so many passport checks, and they're checking you and this and that. So one day I was waiting in East Berlin on the way back to West Berlin, and there was one area which was like kind of an indoor-outdoor area. I can't remember if it was a park or if it was just indoor and outdoor, but I saw there were these sparrows flying there. So you know how a sparrow, if you've seen them, they search around on the ground, and then when they find a piece of food or a morsel, they peck at it, they eat at it, and then they fly away to another place. And I saw these sparrows. They flew from one side of the divide, over the fence, or under the fence, even to the other side. And for them, it doesn't mean anything. East Berlin, West. For us, it was a big thing. This great wall and this fortress and all the guards and everything. So these things for these animals, they don't care. They fly from one place to another. The birds don't obey these boundaries. And the day will also come when humans don't have to pay that much attention to them. And one other thing about these places, this is a very important point about the places. These places are cultural points. So, for instance, if you want to see some of the beauty of Western art, you might go to the great museums of Amsterdam, or you can go to Florence or Rome and these places, and you can admire them. You can go to the Louvre in Paris. You can admire these places. You don't have to own them to admire them. You don't have to own them. So we don't have sovereignty over these Amsterdam or Paris or Rome, but we can go there and enjoy them. And the same for all of these holy places. Nobody needs to have their sovereignty over those places. It's really ridiculous. But in any case, these places are just points. They're superficial. And the best place of salvation, the best place where you're going to find God is within and not without. So there's a message actually given, can you believe it, 7,000 years ago. 7,000 years ago. So how relevant it is to today. And we still haven't learned this lesson that we can't fight over this place of pilgrimage or that place of pilgrimage. We should go within to the real place, and we should treat all the places as holy, all the places in this world as holy, and with reverence, and all the people too. And a day will come. So, also some people, we get pessimistic, but, for many years, the people of England and France and Germany, they were fighting each other. England fought France, and France fought Germany, and everybody's fighting hundreds of years, so much bloodshed. But today you can drive across the continent and hardly have to show your passport, and it's just no problem. So that day will also come in this world when a lot of the conflicts we think are intractable, insolvable. We can't, no way to solve that. One day we will solve them. But if we can remember about our inner spirituality and practice it, then that will be one step towards that day. So that is all. This is a very small discourse, and you can read it in Vachanamritam Part 34, or I read it from the collected electronic edition, which I'll give a hint about that afterwards. But in any case, if you like this little podcast, give it a thumbs up. If it's on YouTube, subscribe. If you're in other podcast platforms, because we're audio podcasts, just search for Ananda Marga Dharmakast on all the podcast platforms and subscribe to the podcast so you'll get notified of further episodes. So that's, and if you really want to go into the source of some of the writings which I quote in all of these episodes, think about getting maybe the electronic edition of the works of P.R. Sarkar, that's Shrii Shrii Anandamurti. And I'll put a link for that in the descriptions of this episode. So that's all. If you have any question or comment, somehow track me down, give me a message, and I will respond to you. So I just want to conclude with the yoga greeting. Namaskar means I salute you with my mind and all the love and cordiality of my heart, and I hope to see you again soon.